Hey there guys, I thought I'd do a quick video on the Xbox One this morning, after its release last night. So, to begin with, the design of the Xbox One. The design looks good, it's big but it's good. It's got a massive air vent on the top that should result in no ring of death issues, if you remember that from the Xbox 360. So the cooling looks good. It is very large however, it looks like it's bordering on being bigger than the original PS3. This may be an issue for some people, but at the same time, if you think of the size of skyboxes or big DVD players, it's not that big, especially as it seems to have come with TV inbuilt, but that hasn't been confirmed yet. Each one of these also comes with the new Kinect system. The new Kinect system looked quite impressive in terms of voice recognition and gesture recognition. We didn't see any in-game gesture recognition, just to do with the operating system. And a Kinect will be bundled in every box, and this is kind of what they're centralising the Xbox One experience around. So the Xbox One isn't a console as such; it's a complete entertainment experience, and this is where they've kind of they're shining compared to PS4, sorry. So in terms of the technical details, we got a bit from Xbox last night, and we haven't actually got any from PlayStation 4 yet, but we have got rumoured specifications, so we can take a quick guess as to how these are going to match up against each other. So last night we didn't actually get any information on the GPU side of things. That's the graphics card side of things. The rumoured specification for each of the consoles is that they're going to get the AMD 7790 GPU, so we can kind of assume that's still the case. It would make sense because they can't be spending huge amounts on these because they've got to sell them for not huge amounts, and looking at the Xbox One, it's already going to cost a lot of money. The PS4 and the Xbox One were both suggested to get the FX 6000 series AMD CPUs. Now these are 6-core CPUs. However, on the tech sheet we got yesterday, the Xbox One has an 8-core CPU that was interesting, and it's also based on a 64-bit architecture as opposed to the 32-bit architecture that a lot of people have been rumouring. This is good for two reasons. If you watched the Xbox One demonstration last night, you'll know that the Xbox One consists of 3 operating systems working harmoniously between each other. This is kind of an issue. If there's anything that's ever going to slow down a system, it's the software. You don't need to have run Windows Vista to know this. So the 8-core CPU is going to really help there, and it'll be interesting to see how they implement it. Anyone that knows anything about the PS3's internals know that the Sony actually created the architecture in such a way that they gave one core constantly to the operating system. And this meant you could click the PlayStation button on your controller and go straight back to the operating system and use the operating system without causing any lag to your game or your operating system. And it would be interesting to see if they have a similar sort of design for this. It wouldn't surprise me that one core is going to be for the one module, sorry, it's going to be for the operating system in terms of television and movies, while 6 will be for games. 3 modules, sorry. So for those of you who don't know, the AMD FX series processors use modules instead of cores. Each module consists of 2 cores, and it kind of takes on a slightly parallel processing like structure. But it means you allocate modules, not cores. So this would make sense to me because if you've got 6 cores running games, that's still the same as a PS4. According to rumours, we don't actually know what the PS4 is going to have yet. It has 8 gigabytes of system memory, like already rumoured. That's fine. 500 gigabyte hard drive. Some people are saying it might be a terabyte, but there we go. They may release a terabyte version in the future. 500 gigabytes makes sense to me because 1 terabyte could cause lag. Blu-ray drive, this is as rumoured and makes sense. Wireless with Wi-Fi direct, that makes sense. Everything has Wi-Fi nowadays. HDMI out, of course, again makes sense. Almost all tellies are 1080p. and USB 3.0. It's got to last 7 years, so it makes sense that it would have USB 3.0. And those are that's the tech sheet for it. The next thing I wanted to talk about was the multitasking, because this was really impressive. They switched seamlessly between gaming, movies, watching telly, and so on, and this was really impressive. However, the way they did it worried me. They did it with voice control. So if you've ever watched a movie, especially if you've got a surround sound system in your house, you're probably going to have it quite loud, and if you want to do something else, you're going to have to be shouting for the Xbox to hear you. They've done really impressive stuff with the voice control, but I don't think the Xbox One is the place to implement it. It gives me hope for things like Google Glass if people are willing to use the voice control, but I don't think it's going to be able to hear you over games or over the telly or even movies or just watching a trailer or listening to some music. I think the Xbox might struggle to hear you, and this was something that I sort of looked at and was quite worried about. It has a lot of exclusives, the Xbox One. The exclusive line is looking good. They didn't release many specifics in terms of exclusives. You've obviously got Forza and things like that, as well as EA Sports. A load of EA Sports games are coming exclusively, apparently. But there we go. The servers. Now, they made a big deal of the servers in terms of cloud gaming. For those of you that don't know what cloud gaming is, it's gaming that's done on a server somewhere and then streamed to your telly as a video. So the input from your controller is sent to the server does all the work, and then the server sends a stream of video recording that is basically your game, the outcome of your game, to your Xbox One, and then that puts it on the screen. So this works really well for games that the hardware can't handle. However, PlayStation 4 doesn't have this, the PC doesn't have this, tablets are only just looking at getting this sort of in the next few years. So the actual possibility that cloud gaming is going to be used straight off the bat is very, very small. It may be implemented somewhere down the line by a couple of companies, but I doubt it's going to be used. As well as the fact that Microsoft owns all these servers means it's going to cost a lot for developers to use them. So I think the server idea, although it's a good idea, isn't going to work out well in the real world. And that brings me to the price. So Xbox Live is still going to be subscription based by the sounds of things. And with all these servers, I'm not sure if they're going to be increasing the price. And the price of the console itself is going to be quite high. So the 8-core AMD CPU retails at about $200. The graphics card is about $100. You've got the Kinect that I imagine can't be that much shy of $100 to put together. You've got all the other hardware. I can see it's easily being $450 to $550 on retail for launch date. That's a lot of money. So my argument for getting a PC is always that everyone needs a PC, and a good sort of desktop PC that anybody needs is probably going to be $250 to $350 straight away. Then a console currently is $250 to $300. So I always argue that add those two together and you can make a gaming PC. That's going to be even more true now. If we assume this is $500 plus a $300 sort of PC, $800 for a gaming PC is going to get you an experience so much better than this. All you have to do is wirelessly stream stuff from your computer to the to your television, and you've got exactly the same experience. So this is a worry for me, the price, but it's impossible to tell until it's released. The sound and voice I've already got over, and the server issue I've already gone over, but I want to sort of go over it a bit more because it's also going to give the ability of always online. A lot of you may not know what always online is, simply because a lot of you may not be PC gamers, but you all know what online passes are. So EA recently announced that they were going to drop online passes, and everyone suddenly praised them, but I did not. And the reason for this is that all of the new consoles have the ability to use digital rights management. This is basically the ability to keep the game online at all times connected to the publisher's servers in order to make sure it's not pirated and you're the only one using it. So this is something we've had trialed on the PC for a while, and everyone hates it, but it's not going away by the looks of it. So what DRM it does is literally you put the game disc in, and it doesn't matter if it's a multiplayer game, a single player game, it will have to connect to the servers before you even launch the game up, and then it will be continually connected to the servers while you're playing the game. So this is why they've dropped the online pass, because they've come up with something that will allow them to stop piracy better, and this will completely stop second-hand sales as well, because they can lock it to your username or your console. All of the consoles have inbuilt hardware that means they can be recognised by DRM, so you can play it on your console if you're a different user, but you cannot play it on another person's console. That's a big issue. So that's my sum up of what happened yesterday in the Xbox One event. Thanks for listening, guys, and please subscribe to the channel.